Do the Pistons have a death lineup? Again, it seems kind of crazy when you say it out loud because the Pistons have been so bad this season. But against the Portland Trailblazers, we saw a lineup of Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, Marcus Sasser, Asar Thompson, and Jalen Duren wreaking havoc on the Portland Trailblazers. Now, I know they were shorthanded. They did not have DeAndre Ayton. I believe Jabari Walker was playing a lot of minutes at the five. And I mean, Duran feasted in this game. I believe it was 27 and 24. I, for some reason, had him sitting on my bench in fantasy basketball. Have no idea how that happened. But this is a lineup I want to see them continue to roll out to end games. So this five-man lineup of Cade, Jaden Ivey, Marcus Sasser, Asar Thompson, and Jalen Duren. They played 12 minutes against the Portland Trail Blazers. They scored 31 points. They shot 47.8% from the field, 40% from the three-point line. They had 15 rebounds, 3 steals, 2 blocks, and they were plus 20. And if you look at the advanced stats, they are crazy. They have 140.9 offensive rating and a 50 defensive rating. So both are just ridiculous. But this lineup does show a ton of potential with these 5 guys on the floor. And it's just because you're getting so many different looks offensively from this team. Here's what I like about this team and why I believe in this lineup. And again, not to start. I have a different starting lineup I'm going to talk about since I'm talking about the death lineup. I don't want the death lineup to start. I want this lineup to be a closing team just because of everything I like. And here's what I like about this team. You have this lineup. You have 3 ball handlers in Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, and Marcus Sasser. And all 3 of those guys have playmaking abilities. They can create their own shot and they can create shots for others, whether it's throwing a lob to Duren or finding Asar in that dunker spot. Those 3 guards seem to know where the other 2 are at on the floor. I really love those 3 on the floor together. And it's cool because you have elite shot making from Marcus Sasser from the outside. I mean, he's shooting 48% from the field and I think 43% from the three-point line. Jaden Ivey has increased his outside shooting numbers and I think he's like 42% from 3 in like the last few games. Like he's starting to figure it out. He went 7 for 7 against the Portland Trail Blazers in this game, and I think 1 for 14 from the field, but his outside shooting is starting to fall. And then you have Cade Cunningham, who can hurt you from all 3 levels, who is also shooting the ball at a pretty respectable percentage from the three-point line. So you get those 3 guys out on the floor just creating things for themselves and for others. That can be a matchup for defenses. That can be a matchup nightmare for defenses. I even like the team's defensive flexibility in this lineup. I mean, you have a point of attack defender in Asar. You have another guy in Marcus Sasser that can get around screens. Jaden Ivey, he's starting to hustle on that end as well. Cade Cunningham, he'll never be great defensively, but he can be good to average on that side, and he can definitely be a good team defender, especially someone that can communicate on that floor. But it really depends on what Jalen Duren can do defensively, and he looked good against the Portland Trailblazers. Again, they didn't have a big man out on the floor, but he was protecting the rim. He was calling switches. He was switching on guys. He was being physical to the point. I think he had 5 fouls in the game as well, but still, the potential defensively for these guys is just insane because you can see a world where all 5 of these guys are switching or fighting through screens or finally keeping guys out of the paint with just that intimidation factor with Jalen Duren. I love this 5-man lineup, and I think there's even more potential for it with Jalen Duren exploring more as a playmaker. Like he had 6 assists a few games. He's had multiple games where he's had 4+ assists in games this season. That playmaking is finally developing. Like he seems like to have his head on a swivel. He's finding guys cutting. He's finding guys in the corner. If that continues to evolve, this lineup can be real deadly on that side of the ball. Plus, this lineup also has 4 scorers. I already talked about 3 of them. I'm talking about another one. That's Jalen Duren. His footwork and just his finishing around the rim is incredible and just huge against this team. It seems like nobody even game plans for what he can do around the rim. And you also have 3 solid rebounders. Duren doesn't need to be mentioned. Asar is incredible. And then Jaden Ivey, he has been great too, especially the last couple of months as an offensive rebounder. This lineup gives you everything you want to close games. Now, there are some guys that I think you could add to the death lineup in replace of others, and I still think that they would give you that defensive flexibility and some great offense. Quentin Grimes, we haven't seen him play, but I think you could sub him in for Asar Thompson. You might, I mean, he typically plays the 2. So maybe you're looking at maybe you're looking at more of like Marcus Sasser for Grimes to replace, but he still gives you that elite defense. He's shooting 36% from 3 and I believe 38% from catch and shoot threes. He's also a guy that has been known to finish around the rim, creating offense by basically attacking closeouts. But it's that defense is what you want. I think you could put him in this lineup and it would give you a different type of edge. I think Isaiah Stewart in for Duren could be real interesting. Now you lose some of the athleticism, you lose some of the playmaking too from that, from Duren to Isaiah Stewart. Isaiah Stewart's not as good of a passer, but defensively, you even have I think you get better defensively with good rim protection from Isaiah Stewart and his ability to switch defensively and make things uncomfortable for perimeter players. That would be really great. And then Fontecchio, I think you could put him in for a SAR or in for either like a Jaden Ivey or Marcus Sasser. Gives you a little bit more size, gives you more shot making, gives you defense. I really like Fontecchio in this lineup as well. And I do think he will be a guy that closes games out throughout this second half of the season. There's one more guy I wanted to throw in, and that's Troy Brown Jr. Now, I think it's a little bit defensively, it could be great with him in there, but he doesn't give you that kind of pop like the other guys do, but he's going to give you strong rebounding from the weak side. He's going to give you a communicator defensively and a guy that's going to fight through screens. He's just not as an elite of defender as Asar Quentin Grimes can be. So I don't know. That's my death lineup. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. I would love to hear what you guys have to say about the Pistons having a death lineup in Detroit, even though this team has been so bad this season.